pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. So, good evening, everybody. It's Wednesday, October 21st at 6:35, and we are meeting at the Municipal Center in Bethel, Room A. I would open up the meeting for any public comments. Are there any public comments out there?
Nobody on Zoom for the record?
Nobody on Zoom?
Nope.
Okay, that being said, review of past minutes.
You have,
I emailed them.
they're in that email?
Yeah, they're not in the packet. I left them.
No, I saw that.
Yeah.
I
Did
just
anybody
looked.
see any additions or deletions or?
Let me take a quick look, because I hadn't seen that email.
I'm good.
Everything for you, Kevin?
I wasn't there.
You weren't there, but Peter? Hmm? Maybe read it. Maybe you want to read mine? Read mine.
I'm
Good.
good, I'm looking, I'm almost done.
Okay.
I'm good, thank you.
Make a motion to accept the minutes of the previous meeting.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye. Abstain.
Very good. Okay, Chief. Controllers report.
Did you get a Kevin abstain from that? Because he wasn't there. Kind of right on track to where we normally would be. I believe a lot of the cars came in on this one, or before a lot of, so a lot of the major purchase on capital were already done. Maybe that's an accurate statement. I think it actually is coming in for this month. That's right. We just got the invoice. I think that back will be in October. So you'll see capital go down a lot because of the cars, the two cars that came in, and all the equipment that goes in them. Nothing out of the ordinary unless you guys have questions on any of the items.
No,
Do you normally get the cars the same time of year?
No, it varies.
There.
It varies when they have them available. Like last year, it took forever to get. We didn't get them until after January. And then this one, they had two of them available right at the beginning of the budget year, so we took them. So it varies. When Ford did, they produce them at certain times of the year. The 20s got delayed like long time this year. So a lot of the departments didn't even get their last year budget card. We got lucky and got ours. So
They're all through state bids, right?
yeah, they're all state
State bids.
Yeah.
Anybody have any questions on budget here? Peter? Dave? Amy?
no, there's nothing.
I'd just like to point out one quick thing here is on the professional services, you see a $4,500. The price of the academy, it used to be free, went to $2,000, then it went to $1,500, then it went to $2,000, now it's all the way to $4,500,
How quickly did that go up?
like over 4 years maybe.
Wow.
Is that per student? Person per, yeah.
Wow.
So that's for the latest, that's at the academy, and that's $4,500.
What was the urgent care for?
That would have been the physical for the new hire, Rodrigo.
Urgent care does your physicals?
Yes, we can do. We've used a couple. We did the one up next to the hospital, but they closed up. Well, I forget the name of it,
Yeah.
right across the street.
Oh, 79,
Yeah.
Sandpit. Anything else, Chief?
That's it. That's all.
Okay. Overtime report.
You gotta accept the minutes.
Hmm?
You want to accept the,
Oh, yes, we need a motion to accept the control report.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Sorry.
all right, overtime, was pretty on track until this recent, the COVID issue where this last week and this week is gonna be extremely high in overtime because it was like almost entire shift that had to get quarantined. And also, in addition to the incident that we had yesterday, the overtime's gonna go up in the last week, this week. So you're gonna see a big jump on the next meeting.
Is everybody out right now?
Yeah, they should be all coming back on Saturday or Sunday, something like that. With one person that tested positive and then 3 people had direct contact with
Right.
that person. So all 4 of them are quarantined. The other 3 tested negative. Though.
Did they do the long test
Yes,
at the PRC?
What about dispatch? What's going on with that?
dispatch. I got that at the end. As far as overtime goes, or
Overtime.
you're gonna see that start going down because the new person that we hired to replace Barbara is on her own now. So you can see the overtime starting to go down. However, I will update you later about another retirement and dispatcher that's gonna really deal with it at the first of the year.
Okay.
Okay. Anybody have any questions on overtime? Dick?
No.
Yes or no? Kevin?
No.
Amy? Okay. Old business.
Old business, Lieutenant Durkin's here tonight, so you can go over some of this, but updates in Dolan Plaza crosswalks, the first old business.
I reached out to DOT and the Hart Company, and they've agreed to move the bus stop from its current location in front of Dolan Plaza where the crosswalk is. They're gonna move it east in front of the Shell station. We could have pushed it either way. The state preferred going east, and it's probably a good idea. If we pushed it west, it was gonna go in front of the coffee shop, and then you had parking spaces right after that. They said probably November-ish, they'll be able to get that moved.
That'd be great.
Nice.
As far as the money for the request for the flashing lights, that's still pending with the town. So we have to see, again, the approximate cost was $15,000. That was what the state gave me as approximate cost to put in those flashing lights. So we'll have to see if the town wants to foot the bill for that. We have to fund it and maintain it if we're gonna put it in.
I was in Little Lakeville, Connecticut today. I don't know if you're familiar with it. It's up in the northwest corner of the state. They've got one of those in Little Old Lakeville. And I'll tell you, it's fantastic, the way those strobe lights go on with some of these. Really
Manhattan
get your
money.
attention. Little Old Lakeville, huh?
Manhattan money up there.
Yeah, there's a lot of money up there, that's true. But, yeah, it definitely needed done.
Oh, yeah.
And I'll follow up with the first selectman again on that, how he wants to go about making that request. So I just talked to him already.
So when they say maintenance on it, who will maintain it? The PD or the
town.
Public Works?
Public Works.
And we would still have to go through a permit process and all that. So if the money gets allocated, then we'll go ahead and go through the permit process to try to get it installed.
Pretty simple, right?
Nothing
If you're an electrician.
Nothing simple. You're talking to the state.
Okay. All right, how about an update on Shelley Road Island?
Yeah,
From the
so-
town of Newtown.
So I emailed the Public Works Director over in Newtown, got back to me right away within a day. He made his first selectman aware of our request. First question obviously was, who's gonna pay for it? What are you guys looking for? Are you looking for us to do it? Or are you gonna pay for it? He also said it's in the right of way of a state road, so the state's probably gonna have to get involved in it too, if that were to occur. They had just finished doing some upgrades there with markings, as far as, if you remember, it really wasn't marked well on how to get in and out of there. You know, where you're supposed to go in the first entrance and second. So they painted it and marked it out so you can kind of see that. So that is an answer, obviously, I need from you all is, are we willing to ask for the town for money for that too, if we go forward with it? Before we ask that question, I did reach out to Tom Galliford, Fire Marshal, and Pat Magyar from Stony Hill FD, because they've obviously responded to calls there with the fire department. And both said there was never an issue getting in and out of there with the trucks, that there's plenty of space for them to get in and out with fire trucks. So having said that, do we even want to go forward with trying to get the island removed?
How do you feel it looks with the new markings?
It's good, it's.
Because it used to be very confusing.
Right,
It's a lot better now. You actually, when you take that left.
I never knew which
you
way
should
I was
know not
supposed to
to
go
turn
in.
the
Yeah.
first part now.
and the other side of that, this all came up because of obviously the development going down at 47 Shelley. When I spoke to Tom Galliford, he's still waiting on the architect's plans on getting fire trucks in and out of that complex. Usually they just give them the fire truck's dimensions and then they work backwards and arrange everything based on that. And that was still pending when I had talked to him a few weeks ago. So he's handling that portion of it with fire trucks. So that's being dealt with. So, I mean, my recommendation, if they don't have an issue with it, I don't see any reason to really take the island out of there at this point. I don't think Newtown, out of the goodness in the heart, is just going to do it for us. They're going to be.
It sounds like the markings are better now, so.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go take a look.
Wasn't there some other issue that you guys had with that though? Like a line of sight issue or
No,
something?
that was, the issue was, I don't know who brought it up, the potential of the fire truck making a swing in there.
Well,
I think Amy's talking about
the
down the
sightline.
road.
The sightline issue was Limekiln and Shelley,
Race.
and I raised that when I looked at the whole project. I probably shouldn't even have brought it up, but it did get corrected, and from time to time they're gonna have to cut the brush back there. It's just a bad road to get out of Racebrook, but it really doesn't have anything to do with the project, other than there's gonna be a lot more traffic coming from there with that facility in there or complex in there.
It
so-
was just them needing to cut down some
Yeah.
vegetation.
Okay.
I don't know if you've been down there lately, now you look left going on the Racebrook, you can see down the road. now.
Okay. Probably not there as often. So. All right.
So what do you want to do? Just go with the recommendation from,
I think with the new markings, I think if everybody's happy with, we leave it alone.
Amy?
We can ask Newtown to do it, and pay for it. If they don't want to, then we can leave it alone.
Peter?
I guess if everybody's happy with it, I'm happy.
Dick?
The fire department says they have no problem.
I think the whole concept is that's a dead end road. And I think that was more of a problem, because you got a dead end road with only one way in and out. And with all these houses, I don't care what they say about building all these units, but if something happens, you can't get in there. If another truck goes over you and something happens, you can't get in there. You can't get out.
I think you also would even have big problems with the state if you try to remove it also, because I think the reason they have it there is if you're coming from Newtown, if the island's not there, it would appear that the road goes
Yeah.
straight that way.
Hmm,
That's why I
Yeah.
think they have the island there.
maybe.
So you would have a big issue with the state even giving permission to take it out.
We had cars go right up that bank, come right around the corner, right up the bank.
So we're gonna leave it just the way it is. Right. So the update now on the streetlight at the crosswalk by the Bethel Cinema.
Right, so I emailed the state DOT, my contact responded back to me that they're in receipt of it and they'll be in touch. Obviously, they're gonna look at it and see whether or not they agree with our recommendation.
Okay, thank
So
you.
we'll wait and hear from them.
Okay, good. Any comments, Lieutenant Durkin, on that? Anything? No? Okay, let's move on. New business, Chief, monthly reports.
So you got all the reports for the major crime.
Yeah.
Like pointed out last month, the burglaries are way down, and that's because everybody's working from home. A lot of people are working from home. However, motor vehicle thefts are back on the rise, and we don't anticipate that to slow down anytime soon. We had, 4 a few weeks ago? I sent you guys an email all in one night.
How can we make, or let Matt or somebody make something aware of the public to make them more aware that they have to lock their cars.
Matt did a public service announcement this last time, a robocall, like a reverse 911 thing.
Hmm.
We've been putting it and posting it on Facebook, we've been putting it in the newspapers. We're not the only town. We're not the only town.
Right.
It's, a lot of people just simply leave their keys in the car. And it's over and over again. And they come in with groups of people and they just walk through neighborhoods and they just try every single car that's outside until they find a couple cars and leave town. And this time, even when they were leaving the town, they picked one up off the Dodge and Town Market on top of it. It was like 6 o'clock in the morning, cars at Dodge and Town Market, I believe, running, and they jumped in that, took that one too. So,
Are you guys seeing any increase in like domestic kind of things?
Um,
Not really. It's hard to tell.
it's hard to tell. I think when the first lockdown was, I think we got a lot more verbal, we call them verbal domestics, where there wasn't really like arrestable offenses, but just like a lot more family
Fighting,
arguments.
yeah.
And people are all locked in together a lot more. But surprisingly, the numbers didn't spike that greatly. Would you agree with that? Yeah.
I just have a few comments. One is just my, saving the earth. I'm comfortable with just getting so we're getting the BPD arrest log
Yeah.
for adults. Then we're getting the BPD arrest by name and charge. And then we're getting the arrest listing by agency by name. I'm comfortable with just getting the first of those three.
Okay.
It's all the same data.
It's all
Yeah.
the same data, and I feel like that then will save,
Yeah.
7 pages.
I think Chief Finch just did that because you go look at it differently.
Yeah, and I mean, and if that's important to see it in different ways for you guys, by all means, I'm just saying I'm comfortable with not having the second two,
Okay.
or just having the third one, if that's the one that people prefer. I'm fine with the first one. I don't know what you guys think. If you
I think
prefer-
the first set
The
of
third
notifications
one.
are fine.
Yeah,
The first,
Right.
Yep, that's easy enough.
I mean, certainly keep it if you want. I'm just,
Yeah, that's,
don't want to waste paper.
I'm good with that.
And then my only other comment was in the drug arrest at the very end, that is the drug arrest for the same month, but that individual isn't in the arrest log for that month. So he's in the drug arrest for September, but he's not in the arrest log for September.
Yeah. Because it was probably an infraction.
Okay,
That's my bet. Because the marijuana, small possession of marijuana got decreased to a fine
right.
years back. So it's not going to show up as a criminal arrest, it'll show up as a drug offense.
But is it even an arrest?
No, I mean, depends, you play on legality terms,
Yeah.
but it's a fine.
No, so just, that's interesting. Okay,
But the second offense is a misdemeanor, so.
you have to start it somewhere. Okay, thank you.
So do you foresee anything in the near future regarding juveniles stealing cars? Anything changing in the judicial system in the state of Connecticut? Or this is just gonna keep on going?
It's gonna keep on going.
Not unless they repeal the law. Which sounds like.
I mean, it'll happen, but it's gonna take 20 years.
It's-
Pendulum's gotta swing all the way back. They've already taken that money also and put it other places. So all the money that was in the juvenile court system is gone.
Yeah.
So they're not gonna start re-arresting kids because they have nowhere to put them and nothing to do with them.
So what's gonna happen, God forbid, they steal a car, they speed, and they take out an innocent family?
That's when they will start putting pressure on the state to put a new law.
So it's gonna take that.
That's what
to
it
do it.
takes for everything, yeah.
And we're very vocal in this, like the Chiefs Police Association.
Right.
It's every time we're pressuring lawmakers to change it or make it better, and we haven't gotten anywhere yet, let's put it that way.
I mean, it's a huge system because our entire juvenile justice system
Mhm.
needs incredible reform. So, start there with policymakers, with lawmakers,
Right.
just in my tenure working with juveniles, the changes that have happened in the past 10 years are monumental. Monumental.
It started with the age change.
Yeah,
Cha-
there's really no
change in the
recourse
ages,
now.
which might have not necessarily been a bad thing, but then the problem now is serious or repeat offenders or serious offenders are being treated like minor crimes is what the problem is. So.
I have a curiosity question.
Mhm.
We had a fatal accident back in May, I think on Mother's Day.
Yes,
Why does it take from May until October to get an arrest on that?
there were different things of the evidence, waiting for evidence, waiting for the court, because court's been so backed up because of COVID. And that happened right in the height of COVID. So it did take a little bit longer than we usually would take on something like that. But again, you want to take your time and make sure you cross all your Ts and dot all your Is and.
No, I understand that.
Yeah,
Just a point of information, I just thought it was.
yeah, and I don't know how long the arrest warrant was sitting around, waiting to find a guy or whatever, I'm not sure, so.
There were some developments in that as well that were good.
Oh, that's right, the
For
video.
us. We ended up finding a witness months later that actually had a dash cam of the incident. So it kind of contradicted what the suspect was saying happened in it. So
Yeah, I forgot about that one.
so sometimes it's, rather than go forward with stuff and throw it into court, not having everything you need, sometimes it's better to make
I'm
sure-
a layman, I was just
let things
wondering.
develop, and
I was just wondering.
it worked out pretty
Okay,
good.
it makes sense. Thank you.
Anything else on monthly reports, Peter? Okay. Kevin, Amy?
No, I gave all my feedback.
Okay. Okay. Chief, new policy, sir.
So I got one, I do have another one kind of ready, almost ready, but I only got one for you this month. This was a new policy that was created by the state, mandated by the state. It's a good thing, it's for critical incident and peer support. It was a bill that got put in place kind of to help people with PTSDs and mental health of officers. So one of the things that you'll see in the, look through it or not, is to create a team, a peer support team. So we've started a peer support team. We have 3 people on it currently. We plan on expanding that, making one of the current 3 the team leader of it. And this policy is a model policy from the state with a few minor Bethel changes to it, just to, make it work for us. So it's something new. It's a good thing. It just really, looks after people after major incidents and just overall, in general, if they have issues, they just want to talk to a peer support team member and just get guidance on where to go for help, or if they just, need to take it to the next level.
I think this is great.
Any questions on it?
Peter, no? Okay.
No, I don't have any questions on it.
No,
All right, so I need a motion to accept this general order.
Motion
like
to
to make a motion.
accept 3-17.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Very good.
If you have a critique of it, let us know.
Yeah.
Appreciate your input.
Who's the officer?
That's who's probably gonna be the, we haven't
Bucky.
officially decided yet, but I believe, I can't remember, because you have peer support and then crisis intervention team, so they're 2 new teams, so to speak.
Right.
So I think peer support is Buck here, DeTulio, and Biamonte so far. I don't know 100%. I'm not 100% about the other. I'm pretty sure Buck here, DeTulio. I'm not sure about the 3rd person, but I know we're sending at least 2 more people to that and 2 additional people to the crisis intervention team as well.
Good.
Now, was a database created? I mean, did they, people look for help? Are they gonna create a log and data or anything? Is there any kind of a?
No, nothing like that. It's confidential.
Yeah, they actually can't do that.
Yeah.
Right, but I don't know if there's anything that we're supposed to do with the state. Are they trying to collect any information?
No. Not that I'm aware of. It's just, it was based on, just like a PTSD, it came from San Diego, basically.
Okay.
That was one of the driving
It's like
forces behind it.
this thing has been in mental health for a long time. So when you have a critical incident, you have a debriefing, you go through all the stuff. So you try to like not have the trauma set in and kind of respond quickly to your peers who've just gone through that with you. So mental health professionals have been doing this kind of thing for a long time. And I think police departments are realizing that they're in the same, they're seeing the suicides and the Sandy Hooks and all these super traumatic events that have the potential to really destroy a lot of people who are first responders and cause a lot of mental health issues.
And we've been doing a lot of this already prior to the policy, like EAP, like a lot of times we have like a critical incident, like we did with the homicide stabbing near the old PD. We brought EAP in like immediately, and they sat and met with all the people involved and talked to them and make sure they got whatever help they needed.
Right.
So we've been doing a lot of this already, but this sets a little bit better guidance that kind of makes us do it, so to speak.
We've done it in the fire department, so
Yeah.
many times we've done it. And it works, it's good. Good. Okay, 155 Greenwood Avenue. So that's gonna be Lieutenant Durkin, or you?
Yeah, so this just got put on its late, but Lieutenant Durkin did get something back right away on it, and I'll let him report on it.
So actually, right across the street, next to the Wells Fargo is where 155 is located. Steve DeMarco is going to propose and put in 18 apartments in there. It's an existing building up front that's going to be renovated. It's going to have 2 apartments upstairs with commercial space down below, and then there's going to be 4 additional small buildings put in. There'll be 4 apartments each for each building and commercial space down below as well.
Where is this?
Right across the
I think
street,
that's about the test.
It's about the test of the building.
right next to Wells Fargo,
That's probably
the dirt lot.
Yeah.
And that has the building up front on Greenwood Avenue.
There's a rendering that was on Facebook.
I'm not on the Book of Face.
Right
Yeah.
here.
No, I know where it is.
So I did speak to him about it to get some more information. He stressed that the buildings are small, small buildings that are, obviously there's not a lot of space in there. There'd be 16 parking spaces in there. I guess the town is allowing them to supplement the parking with on-street parking. And it's part of the whole downtown development program that they've been having for a few years that they're talking about. I don't see any issues with it. They're going to actually take the driveway that comes in from Greenwood, that's going to be blocked off. The only entrance and exit will be on School Street, so all vehicle traffic will enter and exit from School Street side, so. I
So
don't see,
it's
there's
my
no sight line
understanding-
issues or anything like that.
Excuse me. It's my understanding they're gonna allow all-night parking 12 months a year on street parking.
Yeah, I mentioned that to him, obviously, between November and
Right.
April, we have the on-street parking ban, but maybe they're gonna alter that. I didn't get any information from the town on that, but
So
that's
people
kind of
will-
more planning and zoning's issue about how many parking spaces per unit that they require. If they
So
go
somebody
ahead.
on Maple Avenue may get a ticket for overnight parking, but if you're on Greenwood Avenue or School Street.
Well, if you're maybe they're gonna alter it for people that are in the zone of this development program that they've been trying to accomplish. But as far as sightline issues coming in and out on School Street, obviously you can see out front, there's no sightline issues with it. And seems to be fine to me.
Well, what do you do with the restaurants? The restaurants on the weekends, they cover both sides of the street. What are they gonna do? We don't have enough parking in this town to begin with. So when that, you come down here on the weekend, you can't, School Street's loaded with cars. Both sides. It's gonna keep going. It's not gonna eliminate some. You're gonna be parking on the side of the street where everybody else in the rest of the business is gonna go. I mean, it's an issue that's an issue that the zoning should look at.
Yeah, I think
You guys
that's,
go to zoning.
that's, yeah, that's,
No,
I kind of try to stay in my lane of what I'm supposed to look at.
But why
There might be other issues, but.
Why have zoning regulations if you're not going to adhere to
They
them?
don't have any
All right, so
I know that's not our problem.
you check the site, the sight line, everything is fine, so there's nothing else the police commission can do. I mean, that's it.
I agree with you.
So that's up to the planning and zoning.
So we would need a motion of the.
Yes, so we need a motion to accept the 155 Greenwood Avenue sightline regarding traffic issues. There are no issues. So who would like to make a motion on 155 Greenwood Avenue?
I'll make a motion. I make motion to accept Durkin's analysis and recommendation of the property and the sightlines.
155 Greenwood Avenue.
Yes.
We worded something along the lines that Lieutenant Durkin's recommendations that he hasn't seen traffic safety issues.
Right. All that we're responsible for.
Okay, so I need a second. Second. All in favor, raise your hand, please. All in favor. Okay, 3-2. All right.
Nothing against.
Yeah, you do, you got two opposed.
Okay, that's fine.
They work harder next time.
All right, so the next one is the crosswalk request, Maple Avenue extension and Plum Trees. Lieutenant Durkin.
Yeah, so I received a couple of emails. I actually received a letter requesting the crosswalk from a lady who lives at Cole Lane, which is the new Toll Brothers houses on Maple Avenue Extension. And her concern was her husband and child like to walk downtown every night. They walk on the sidewalk in front of the clubhouse there for the Toll Brothers, and then the sidewalk ends, and then they have to cross the street. There's no crosswalk.
So you're across the street, like right after we come around Plum Trees and we come around.
I
Ball Park,
almost got in an accident
right,
there
we come around
yesterday.
Ball Park, where the kids
Right.
play,
Ball-
you do that,
yeah.
or whatever, you know what I'm saying?
I almost got in an
So
accident right
technically, it's already a crosswalk, because that's where the sidewalk terminates, so it's what we call an unmarked crosswalk. But it is an unmarked crosswalk, it's on the pedestrians to make sure it's safe before they cross. So
What's
she,
that? Oh, yeah, you're.
so she's requesting that a crosswalk be put in. So although I'm sympathetic to what she's asking for, and she makes some good points that there's, 70 plus houses gonna be in there with total when it's finished, that there could be a potential for pedestrian traffic. I don't see the pedestrian traffic right now. I've been down there a few times during the day, I've been down there in the evening shift, I'm not seeing people that live in that community necessarily walking out of there. I see a lot of cars coming in and out, but I don't see a lot of pedestrians. Not to mention the fact, when I looked at the sight lines of the Kirby Road, it's really not a good spot for a crosswalk. And I truly believe it's gonna cause more harm than good. When you look at the total safety of everybody involved, not just the pedestrians, but you're gonna have traffic coming down the hill, passing Plum Trees Heights, they're gonna make that corner, and then they're gonna start making the next corner, they're gonna be met with a crosswalk with somebody in it. It gives the pedestrians a false sense of security, hey, I'm in the crosswalk, but they're not really safe because the traffic doesn't really see them. They're gonna have to apply their brakes quickly, which is gonna cause traffic to back up on the corner, and you're gonna have a lot of rear interactions, so.
I agree with you, I do use that, because I run, my camera, I run that, but I agree, so ideally, that would be great, but I feel like that's the same issue we went to when we wanted the crosswalk up at the schools on the turn.
Right.
It's gonna be more dangerous to do it because of that, if anything, they should go ask Toll Brothers to give them a sidewalk to the middle, and try to do something.
Well, that's one of the things that I looked at, is where it terminates, if the sidewalk went towards the old PD, maybe
Yeah.
mid-block.
Yeah.
And then have a
And then you
crosswalk
have
there,
a
would be one
long
thing, but
line of sight to slow
to
down.
put it right there on the curve,
Yeah.
but that would be, I'm sure Toll Brothers is really gonna rush out to do
Well,
that.
maybe they, who knows?
I was there
But that-
last night. I came down, coming from town, going to Stony Hill. Coming around that corner, it's probably a couple with a baby carriage, okay? They started out and the guy in front of me stopped to let him go. And it was like,
Which he should have done because.
he
they're not
caught me
in
right
front.
off guard,
Right.
Yeah.
you know?
Mm.
Because he stopped dead for these people that were just kind of stepping onto that corner.
So what I'm gonna do is, my suggestion is that, obviously, I don't think it's a good spot for a crosswalk, is make the suggestion to her, maybe to reach out to Toll Brothers and request that as somebody who just bought a house there, and,
I think that's.
you know, you may be looking at maybe 150 feet of sidewalk that they could put in to get it away from the curve,
Yes.
and then a crosswalk could be put in going onto the other side of the road.
Straight away.
It'd even be safer for them to go, go
Just driving in.
diagonal out of
Can't go around
Toll
that.
Brothers up to, what's that little road that, that comes out behind like the old folks home? Yeah, K-View, come out on K-View and then they can swing up Maple that way.
There's a
It's a
couple.
long walk.
There's just no sidewalks up on KV
Yeah.
either, so you
But
get
it
on the
makes
road.
sense.
It's a quieter road than
Yeah.
the Maple Avenue is just too busy of a road.
But
to-
that's just a bad place.
Yeah.
If you could get them even up, you know, either way, if you get them around the corner on that
That's what we were
side, where that's all embanked, where that car went in, if we could get them past that,
Or
then they
walking
could.
through there.
Yeah.
I think the best way is to go towards the old
Oh,
PD.
that's a good idea. Get Toll Brothers to give them a right of way out Toll
But I think
Brothers.
all the
Hey,
houses-
give it right away
all
into
those-
Cindy Lane.
All that real estate, those lots are all owned, you know, are gonna be
Yeah.
somebody's property.
No,
so-
I'm just,
And they're only quarter-acre lots anyway, so you eat up a sidewalk. Nah.
Toll Brothers give them enough money, they'll do it.
If they picked up on it earlier, we could make.
The house takes up most of the property. So.
Okay.
Okay, so you'll talk to this person? and
Yeah, my
then-
recommendation is to reach out to Toll Brothers to see if you can get a sidewalk, go towards the old PD, and then if they get it further away from the curb, then we can accommodate a crosswalk at that point.
Okay.
Maybe you ought to give them a lead, what's the site, how many feet away from the curb would they have to be? So they knew what to tell Toll Brothers.
If it gets to that point, obviously, we would definitely correspond with them to make sure they have the right
Toll
answer.
Brothers knows.
Okay. Very good. All right, the next one is the Turkey Trot Road Race.
So, I'm kind of dirty to fill you, but this is the same as been every year.
Every year.
If you had it, never had any issues.
Yeah.
5 police officers work it, and expect about 200 to 400 people doing it. That's it, so we just motion to approve it.
So moved.
All in favor?
Second.
Aye.
Jake?
You said aye.
Aye. All in favor?
I said aye.
Oh, I didn't hear you.
Aye.
Sorry, Peter? Aye,
Yeah,
thank
you
you.
said
Sorry.
Turn up your hearing aid.
So correspondence, if you remember last month, I said there was one I misplaced and I couldn't find, but I found it. It was for Officer Morris, you guys got a chance to.
Oh, yes.
And now, my report, sickness and injury, you guys got the update about the COVID, all those, at least 3 out of 4 we should have everybody back this weekend, hopefully. Personnel update, I told you the dispatcher that replaced, Barbara Wilson is on her own now. However, Marion Broderick, is announcing her retirement, January 3rd, I believe is the date. So we'll be looking to fill her position sooner than later.
Holy cow.
Hopefully request approval of the town to maybe hire before she actually leaves, so there's a little bit of overlap and we save in some overtime.
What's required? There's so many people out of work right now. Who should they see if they want to go and get certified? I know you have a class in Waterbury or something.
First dispatcher?
Yeah.
It's usually advertised, it's an online test.
So, yeah, but who can they contact to get information on that?
They can contact, Captain Burns.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
She handles.
I may know a couple people that may be interested in.
Sounds good. Let's see, the 3 gentlemen that are in the academy now are due to graduate the end of November. So, there's some light at the end of the tunnel, get some people back on the road. It's gonna be a little challenging FTOing, all 3 of them at once,
Yeah, really.
but they've been, really good. They've been doing they've overcome a lot to have to do an online academy. They do go back and forth a lot. They had to drive up to Durham the other day to do like an EM, medical first responder practical.
Mhm.
So they do go back and forth a lot. But they've been good. All 3 guys are doing really well at the academy. Got a lot of compliments, all 3 of them. And then Rodrigo is up at the academy and he's commuting to Meriden every day. So it's a little bit different. We got 3 first ones are
Right.
virtual, and then one is complete commuter.
Back and
For
forth.
now, I can picture them, they're doing it backwards, we're doing a lot of hands-on stuff first. The only bad thing is with that is that a lot of stuff that you're learning, like use of force and a lot of classroom stuff, and then you do the hands-on. They're doing the hands-on first, it's kind of backwards, it's kind of complicated,
Mhm.
but they're doing that because they're worried about the spike of COVID. So they're getting out of the things in person that they have to get out of the way. And they're doing something a little bit different with him too. They're actually sending them in the middle of the academy. They're actually sending them back to the police department to ride with an officer for 2 weeks, to have like a field training thing for us to evaluate. It's kind of interesting. It's something new.
That's kind of cool though, actually.
Yeah, we'll see how it works. The only problem for us is when it's in the middle of our FDM.
Yeah.
other
You're doing 3 other
Yeah.
FPOs.
We'll
Yeah,
we'll
that's
make
true.
it work.
But when I mean, if it was different timing, that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, it just kind of makes sure that we're, see where he's at, and we're comfortable with him still. and It's
How
gonna
many,
be.
how many FTOs are there? I don't know. Is there
Well-
FTO sort of?
The
Well,
problem,
Depends.
no, the problem with FTOs is FTOs are always the ones that get promoted. So every single sergeant's pretty much an FTO. So usually it's like a step to be promoted, or like the 2 SROs are FTOs, Cordero and Broad, so we lost them.
Once you're certified, then you never lose it, so, like, I'm still an FTO, but I don't do it anymore, the certification doesn't expire, so we have a lot of FTOs, it's just, they're
You
not.
have different roles.
Patrol officers that can actually take people with them. So I think we have, what, 3 or 4 now that we utilize?
Yeah.
So active.
We'll put you back on the road.
Yeah.
So do
That's good, I'll work in
sergeants, so can the sergeant who's an SRO, I mean, FTO,
They can, but you take away from, they
their
have so much
ability
going
as a
on.
sergeant?
So we do have some possibilities. I mean, Officer Emerson and Officer Robinson are 2 primary FTOs right now. Officer Morris is available, she helps out. There's, the 2 at the school, Broad and Cordero were 2 main ones, but they're at the schools now.
Right.
But that helps because they do get an opportunity to go work with them. They can't go with anybody but an SRO, so
Right.
having the SROs as FTOs,
Yeah.
we can stick them with them for a day and they can see what goes on in the school and such.
And we can put them with sergeants too, but like I said, it's tough for a sergeant to do like a whole training thing with them. So they're kind of like a backup if someone calls them sick or they have training, and they can go with one of the sergeants like Christos and Whaley and Vinny Joy, they're all, Adam Cleary, they're all FTOs. So we do have some potentials, and we could sub one of the guys out in the school, like right now the high school's closed anyway, we're doing remote. So I could take, for example, I could take one of
What do you
the
mean?
remote learning. We're not doing in-person learning at the high school,
Sounds fun.
They're in hybrid right now.
hybrid.
Yeah, but the kids are there.
There's kids there.
Yeah, but what I mean is, we could,
I just like.
it's not as much as normal is what I'm getting at. So
Right.
we could sub one of those guys out and just stick an officer there for a month that's not the SRO, just to, or maybe, so if we had to use one of those guys as a FTO for a month, we could do that. So we have some ideas that we can make work.
So what makes an FTO? How do you become an FTO?
You have to be
Trained.
kind of picked, like you have to have at least 3 years on, you have to be competent, you have to be, do everything you're supposed to do.
And there's class work, there's a week-long class.
So there is a class.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. That was poor part.
They teach you how to evaluate people, how to score them on daily observation reports. And keep every day you score them on how they did for the day. And we do that for 12 weeks. And they have to pass, there's 4 phases. They have to pass from the first phase, second phase, third phase, fourth phase. And the idea is when they're in the first phase, they're not doing much except riding around and kind of seeing what you're doing. And then by the second phase, they're doing 25% of the work, third phase, 50% of the work. By the final phase, they should be doing 3/4 of everything themselves. And then at the end of it, we have shadow days where they actually are on their own in a car. The FTO is in a separate car, but they go to the same calls together. So he's always there, kind of give him a little bit of freedom, but at the same time, he's always there to kind of keep an eye on him. So it's a gradual process to get them out on their own.
And I'll actually add something totally different, just reminded me, for the first time ever, they offered a similar thing for dispatchers. So we never had like a FTO program for dispatchers. Dan Spinella is down in New Haven this week, being trained to be our first dispatcher FTO.
Oh, good,
So he's in charge of training new dispatchers from now
Nice.
on. So,
good. I think that's great.
Okay.
Okay.
Use of force annual training, we're gonna do December, first week of December, we do a whole day of use of force training. Actually, Lieutenant Durkin's one of the instructors, along with Sergeant Zavatsky, Sergeant LaJoy, Sergeant Cleary. It's something we do once a year. It's hands-on use of force training. We do simunitions where we take guns that are shooting basically like pellets at you. So it's real like live training, hands-on training. And
Mhm.
COVID permitting, we're gonna move forward and do our.
Yeah. Good.
Great.
So the bill, just do the same thing as bill that's influenced greatly this case that we had the other day. It's cost us a lot of hours because we're not allowed to have consent searches anymore. Even the victim, we have to write a search warrant, get it up to court, have a judge, find a judge, have a judge approve it to collect evidence from the victim even.
What do you mean? I thought that was car-based.
No, it's consent search.
Vehicle and persons.
So if a victim says, please come into my house and find the evidence that this man assaulted me,
We consent.
For the residents, we can. For persons and vehicles, we can't. So we had to take swabs from her to get DNA.
okay. So
we
residents.
can compare it,
okay.
and so we cannot take that from her, even though she's saying it's okay.
Please do this to help me.
And even
Right.
him, even though he's the suspect, he's willing to.
Well, but I
should be
can
able
even
to
see with him, but like I'm
Yeah.
saying, for the victim that wants it, okay.
So even
So it's
victims,
person
can-
and vehicles,
yeah.
I thought that it was vehicles, I didn't understand that it was person also. Did you
even if
understand
you get your car
Right.
stolen tonight,
You told me that before.
that? Yeah, I didn't realize.
if you get your car stolen tonight, and we find fingerprints on the car. Well, we don't know whose fingerprints they are. We usually do comparison prints. We'll take the victim's prints. Who drives this car? We take your fingerprints so we can send it to the lab and they can say, is that the victim's print or is it a suspect? We have to get a search warrant for the victim now because we can't do consent. So it costs man hours to write these search
Right.
warrants, get them to a judge.
All right, thank you.
So other than that, there's just some talk that in January, we're gonna be able to hopefully work on some of these things in the bill. We've got some promises that they're gonna reopen it.
That's what I heard. Nothing's gonna change in October and it would look in January.
So we're hoping, keeping our fingers crossed on all of that.
Okay.
So that's all I have.
Thank you, chief.
Commissioner comments is next.
Commissioner comments. We'll start with Peter. Anything, Peter?
Yeah. Juniper Road, you come out of the opposite end of Juniper Road, there's a white picket fence. When you pull out, you have to go halfway out of the road to see anything coming to the left.
You're right.
It's a blind spot.
Yeah, it's
You
terrible.
really can't see, it's right on that corner.
He's right.
Yeah, you can't. You get a chance to have somebody look at that because
I think we did. I think we did a couple of years ago. We might want to check with Lieutenant Libertini on that one.
You're talking about the north side towards Danbury?
Yeah, when you notice that, when you pull out, you have to go almost the whole lane to see something coming from the left.
He's right.
It's right on that corner, it's right there, it's right on top of you.
I think the issue was though, if I remember correctly, I'll have them look into it, but, that everything was done in regulation, that we couldn't do anything about it, like it was.
I don't remember that.
Yeah.
All I'm saying, it's a blind
I
spot.
don't remember
I
the.
remember Dan Matola was, complaining about it.
It must have been before me. I don't recall that.
No, that's- Well, just take a look at it, I mean, I came out of there a couple of times.
No, I know, I saw it.
You're right there, they're right on you when you pull out.
I agree. I have nothing. Happy Halloween.
So I have, you have two things. A, was there any other discussion on the firing range?
That's what they get rid of.
They were supposed to get the report back this week. When I talked to, I saw Nancy Ryan on Monday, and she told me they were getting the report on Monday. I haven't heard anything. That report was gonna be what the engineer that the town hired, what their recommendations were. So whatever they are, I'll find out. Like I said, Matt's in Washington, so I don't want to, bother him unless it's an
No, I'm just
urgency. But,
asking that question.
he's the one who has the report to the selectmen. I will find out. It's definitely been taking a long time. I understand when they hire someone, they have to start from the ground level and go out there and inspect it, look at everybody else's reports and then make the recommendations. Unfortunately, now we're getting the cold weather and I don't know what work they're gonna be able to do. First, I gotta find out what they recommend. Hopefully they'll be able to do the
So
work.
can you put that in the report for next month?
Yep.
I mean, you're doing your use of force training, which is great, but you have a building for weapons and everything's going on in our country right now in the last year, right? Of all the things, you're not, be proficient in your weapon. And you have a facility you can't even use.
I agree.
I just don't understand it.
How about if I,
Of all the buildings,
how about if I keep it under old business every month to give you an update?
yeah, that'd be fine. All right, and then the other thing is, if we go back to the PD next month, which I hope,
Mhm.
if there aren't any new officers that have been hired in the last 2 years, can you just have them just stop through and say hi? Because I don't know about you
totally in
folks,
favor of that.
I'm
I
starting
feel
to
like we don't
forget
know
who they
they
are.
I totally back that. I feel like I don't know who anybody is anymore. And we've gotten so many new people that I'm like, wait, which one was this one? And because we never see anybody. So I would love that.
I mean, I'm not saying have a cup of coffee with them, but say hi, how are you, everything's okay, and okay, be
And maybe
careful.
it's just natural if they're on that shift that don't stay, but just like,
Just hello,
They may want to know what we look like too.
they don't care what we look like.
You hired
They got everything they wanted from you.
Yeah.
I got to have a nice talk with Mike the other day, when he dropped off the stuff.
Which one?
I have a.
Oh, I don't know. This is a guy.
Very nice guy.
Anything for commissioner comments, Kevin?
No, I had the shooting range.
Oh, sorry. Amy?
No, sir.
I make a motion to adjourn.
I second that motion. All in favor? Aye. So be it.
You got 100% on that.